Hey cousins, today I would like to talk about one mistake that I see people, photographers making a lot these days when it comes to using reflectors and flashes in outdoor photography. And it's about one point which is probably really easy to miss, but it's a critical point. With a reflector, you will typically bounce light upwards into your model, and with a flash, you will typically send light downwards to your model. Let me give you a bit of background. I mean, if you're outdoor and you shoot just natural light, just the light which is there, you don't use any additional tools, then typically your subject will not pop out of the photo. It will just sink in. It will probably have ugly shadows. If you make the photo so bright that your subject is illuminated well, then the background is overexposed bright and it commands too much attention. So all of that typically doesn't work. If you use a reflector as your tool, then what you will see all the time is that photographers are bouncing light upwards from below up. That is perfectly all right, because the purpose of such a reflector is to lift shadows. On an overcast day, like in our example, we just bounce a little bit of this overcast natural soft light back into the model. The shadows are lifted and then we are good to go. It's looking very natural. And if you want photos which are looking natural, I could also say just natural, then that is what you do. If there's a bit more sun, then probably you would use the white side of the umbrella to limit the light that you're bouncing back. The purpose of the reflector is not to be the main light. You typically don't want that, because for the main light you will need a lot of light. You would need to reflect back the sun, and reflecting the sun, well, it makes your model squint when she's looking back to the camera. It makes her tearing. Her face might look tortured because she's suffering. Now you don't want that. Now for that you've got other tools. For example, a flash. So if you're using a flash, let's say in a softbox, then the purpose is to be the main light. It's not for lifting shadows. The purpose is main light. So you would angle it downwards, because main light is always coming from a little bit higher than the model. Otherwise, you get this kind of creepy underlighting. In extreme cases, it would look like, when we were children and holding a torch underneath our face to get this creepy Halloween look. You don't want that. So you go from up to down. If you're using a flash, then you typically make your subject popping out. That's it's not a really natural look. It doesn't look natural. It's somewhere between, supernatural, and at the other end of the scale, it would look just over the top fake. You typically want to be rather on the supernatural side, so don't overdo it with the flash as a main light outdoors. What is typically not the purpose of your flash is lifting shadows, because you don't need a flash for that. You could just use a reflector, or you could just put your softbox there and the white front of the softbox would reflect light back. If you add flash, then it's typically directly over the top. So to recap, if you're shooting outside, you need additional light to make it interesting. Use a reflector if you just want to lift the shadows. It's looking really natural, but it can look a bit boring. Use a flash if you want to make your subject really pop out. That can look great, but it can also look kind of fake. I suggest you play around with both. With that said, I wish you good light.
Wonderful, you got it.
Yeah.
Good.